Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Mi channel. Rox D. Xebec has always been portrayed as a figure of immeasurable power and ambition, a pirate capable of gathering legendary figures like Big Mom, Kaido, and Whitebeard under his flag. The recent revelation that he is Blackbeard's father has only intensified the mystery surrounding his true goals. An interesting point revealed in chapter 1155 is that Xebec mentioned two devil fruits essential to his plans, one apparently found in Elbaf, the land of the giants, and another left unspecified. From this, we have the foundation for a theory that links these fruits to greater symbols: the freedom of Nika and the destructive power of darkness, represented by the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika and the Yami Yami no Mi. Starting with the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, previously disguised as the Gomu Gomu no Mi, it represents absolute freedom, the spirit of liberation that brings joy and breaks chains. Nika's fruit has always had a mythical aura, associated with the sun god and rebellion against oppression. In Elbaf, there is a strong mythological tradition linking the giants to the sun god Nika, making the island a possible home for this legendary fruit. In flashbacks, when Xebec meets Harold, the future king of the giants, he senses something deeper than mere physical strength. He sees a messianic potential in Harold tied to the legend of Nika. This suggests that Xebec didn't just see a fruit, but a spiritual weapon, one capable of overthrowing the ruling system through the liberating power embodied in the giant's hero. On the other hand, the possibility that Xebec sought the Yami Yami no Mi, Blackbeard's fruit, and the only one capable of nullifying other devil fruit powers, fits an opposite yet complementary profile: control, destruction, and domination. Unlike Nika, which symbolizes liberation, the Yami Yami allows its user to absorb and suppress the powers of others, and who better than Xebec to wield it in his pirate rebellion? Since he aimed to shatter the structure of the world government, this fruit would be the perfect weapon to take down powerful opponents: Garp, Roger, and even the system itself. The idea that he may have already been a Yami Yami no Mi user is supported by a theory linking his defeat at God Valley to the absorption of an entire island, or the use of a power capable of annihilating both land and soul. If he truly wielded this power, it would have been a major evolutionary leap in the threat he represented. And not just an ideological threat, but one impossible to ignore, with both fruit and terror in hand. When we combine these two ambitions, Nika and Yami Yami, we get a dramatic yet highly symbolic paradox. Xebec's goal was liberation, yes, but to establish a new order under his own control. In other words, while Nika would grant him revolutionary chaos, Yami Yami would consolidate that chaos. He would be both the liberating sun and the Lord of Shadows, absorbing all power that dared oppose him. This combination reinforces the parallel many fans draw between Luffy and Xebec. Luffy represents the light that breaks tyranny, but without any desire for control, a true liberator. Xebec, on the other hand, represents freedom disguised as power. Liberating, yes, but only to reign with an iron fist. The fact that Blackbeard possesses the Yami Yami no Mi may be the continuation of this will, the dark legacy of a father who mocked the light but embraced control. There are speculations that the Nika fruit was actually stolen from Elbaf, possibly by Shanks, who was present on the island according to some secondary sources. If Xebec failed to start his revolution with Harold, and his fruit was stolen, his plan would have been shattered. But he still pursued the other fruit, the one capable of destroying even the most powerful abilities. This reinforces the desperate yet calculated nature of his plans. Even if the light slipped through his fingers, the darkness could still extinguish the light of others. This duality, the hero who wishes to be king through justice, and at the same time the tyrant who rules through darkness, fueled Xebec's ambition. He didn't just want to be free or powerful, he wanted to be the global monarch, the one who would gather all power under his philosophy of controlled chaos. This would make him in many ways the true founder of a new world, one forged in brutality but justified by ideals. Therefore, the theory that the two devil fruits sought by Xebec were the model, Nika, and the Yami Yami no Mi, has both symbolic and narrative weight. It explains his historical quest, his confrontations, his defeat, and creates a powerful contrast with Luffy's legacy as the sun god, whose power of liberation does not seek domination. This contrast will become increasingly decisive in One Piece's final saga. If the Yami Yami no Mi represents the force of collapse, of absorption, of negating all that is light, while the Hito Hito no Mi, model Nika, represents liberation, awakening, joy, and the breaking of chains, then Rox D. Xebec sought far more than raw power. He wanted to reshape the world according to his own philosophy, and that philosophy may have been exactly what made him the most dangerous man of his era. Xebec was a radical revolutionary, not in the traditional sense of liberating, but of annihilating and rebuilding. The combination of these two devil fruits creates an almost divine duality: light and darkness, chaos and salvation, destruction and liberation. He didn't just want to conquer the world, he wanted to restart it. There is strong evidence that these fruits were not only on Rox's radar, but were already considered central pieces in the history of the world. Nika's fruit, for instance, was erased from world government records, which shows both the fear and reverence they held toward it. The Yami, on the other hand, has always carried an air of mystery and was sought obsessively by Blackbeard, who, interestingly, seems to have inherited Rox's most extreme ideals. This pattern of successors is no coincidence, but perhaps the reflection of a persistent ideology. If we examine Rox's crew, it's possible to assume he was forming a group that could help him acquire and control these fruits. Figures like Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard, all future holders of incredibly powerful fruits, seem more like pieces on a chessboard. In particular, Kaido may have inherited part of this vision of total domination, using his power to establish a regime based on absolute strength. This could be an echo of Xebec's philosophy. Another point to consider is the fact that no other character in the story appears to have directly sought these two fruits simultaneously, except for Blackbeard, who wanted the Yami no Mi and later tried to acquire the Gomu no Mi without knowing its true name and nature. This coincidence cannot be ignored. Teach's obsession with choosing the right fruit may have come from teachings inherited from Rox, or perhaps from information that survived after the crew's downfall. The God Valley incident may have been the ultimate turning point. The fact that the world government was protecting the celestial dragons during that event, combined with the presence of the fruits in question, especially the Nika, which was under government custody, likely aboard the very ship Shanks would intercept years later, suggests that Rox wasn't attacking out of pure chaos, but with a very clear purpose: to obtain the power needed to challenge the world at its very foundation. What makes this theory even more solid is the level of secrecy and censorship surrounding everything related to Xebec. His very name was erased from history, something the government only does to true threats to its dominance. Interestingly, the same censorship was applied to Joy Boy and to Nika. This recurring pattern of erasing names, legends, and figures that pose a direct risk to the system indicates that Xebec's quest directly opposed the very foundation of the world government. If the Hito no Mi model Nika represents Joy Boy, the liberator of the past, and the Yami no Mi represents the greatest weapon against other abilities in the natural order, then Rox was building his empire upon the resurrection of those myths. He wanted to be more than a king of the seas. He wanted to be the anti-god, or perhaps the new god. The theory is also strengthened by the idea that these fruits are narrative opposites, and as such, symbolically complete each other. Nika represents absolute freedom, and Yami represents absolute control. Together, these fruits would make any being invincible. Not only physically, but philosophically. No force of nature or society could oppose a bearer of both, for they could end anything, while also reigniting any hope under their own banner. This also ties into the world government's greatest fear, the return of Joy Boy's will. What Rox wanted was not necessarily to prevent that will. Perhaps he intended to harness it for his own ends, ruling the world under a new paradigm of ordered chaos. It's not hard to imagine that upon discovering the Nika fruit still existed and that the Yami had surfaced in the world, figures like Imu and the Gorosei began acting aggressively once more, trying to prevent the rise of a new Xebec, or worse, someone who could inherit both legacies. Today, Luffy bears the Nika, Blackbeard bears the Yami, and in a possible cosmic irony, the world may once again witness Rox's ideals embodied in two opposing sides who, unknowingly, march toward the same point of collision. Therefore, the natural conclusion of this second part of the theory is this: Rox D. Xebec sought the two fruits not only for their power, but because he understood their true symbolism and ideological impact. He knew that to change the world, military strength alone was not enough. It was necessary to break the narrative structure of the world itself, to dominate the symbol of freedom, Nika, and the symbol of collapse, Yami. By doing so, he would become the ultimate archetype of change, feared not only by the world government, but by anyone who depended on the current system to survive. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.